Sintiri harato umuroti sakati umahoreti nahar God. Blessed are the ways of light and might and might and light. For these are the ways of God, unknown to men. For the way of God is never the way man went. And man did not know the way to God, because God did not give man to know the way to God. God knew that in every way that man had gone his wayward way, he would never discover the truth. And the truth was never known to men, for it was never revealed unto men. Your God created everything to work in harmony with everything, so that in all the ways everything would work in perfect harmony. The world would always be a happy place. The temple of man, that is called his body, was created on the same principle as the world was created. And the underlying principle of all of God's creation is harmony. And so when man was created, he was created to work in harmony with the world that was already created. And so he became one with the world as he was in the world, as he was of the world, and as the world was within him. And all of God's creation worked in the perfect harmony of God, so that man and the world were at one with each other. Man walks in this world, never realizing the illusions that he lives in, for he could not remember the way in which he deviated from the divine order of God. And in so doing, he lost harmony with the rest of God's world, so that man and earth were not in harmony with any of God's other worlds. And so the world of man went up and down and up and down, changing in every way that it went up and down, and getting worse in the way in which it decayed. And none of these things have been known to men, for when man did not walk in the faith of God, he found himself always in a lonely path, lost in a world he did not know and he could not know. God's children, in their disobedience, lost the way to know how to maintain the divine order of God within themselves. And they were lost in a world that was all in disharmony. And so the children of God took on what was in the world and they became like the tribes of Ord, lost in all the ways that they had not known what they had done, how the world changed, how they changed, and how things continue to worsen. And so the children of your God had no way of knowing that those influences that are negative in the world are what affects them. And even though they came with higher vibrations that were able to overcome the negative forces of a wayward world, they lost the power that was given into the vibrations they had. And so they found themselves victims in a world that is already in turmoil. Everywhere on earth that God's children are, they are given to see the state in which they are. And the many say unto themselves, how did we get here? And there were many that says also, let us change what we have. And in all their expressions, they did not know, they could not change what has already been altered. For they were altered also. And when the children of God were altered, they had no power to be able to change that which had been altered back to where it was. And so in all the many efforts of the children of God, they found that it came to nothing. And it came to nothing because the children lost the spiritual base of their existence that would have enabled their vibrations to receive its positive charges, that they may be able to overcome that which is lesser than themselves. They know not why it is that in all of their lands, regardless of who they choose to lead them, they are always in the same dilemma. Nothing changes. Nothing will change. It cannot change unless the way that we have given to you is the way in which the children of God are also given. For the children became mindful of all the things of earth and could not remember the things of the sun from whence they came. And in the loss of the dynamism of the things of the sun, the children were no longer able to reconnect with their powers that came from the sun. For they are the children of the rising sun. You must teach them the rituals of your God, that is of the sun, that they may return back to the restoration of that which comes from the sun. For the sun could not give to them that which it was of them, for the children became polluted with the evil of the things on earth. And because they pursued all earthly things, they forsook the way of the higher God of the sun. And so they were never able to understand why it is that we have always said to them, this is not your home, this is not your home. It does not have within it that which you require in order that you may be able to be restored back into your godly powers. And all the many earth rituals that the children of God practiced and the many earth gods that they called upon became the cross that they bore because it weighed them down. And when it wore them down, the children were never able to stand upright. And you must tell them, that they always walked on their knees, for they could not walk upright. And they began to follow the ways of earth people that genuflected on their knees and bowed their heads when God told them, you came as the mighty people of the sun. You walk tall in the spirit of giants, and giants do not bow down. Giants do not bow down. And all the children of God did not remember the way they walked on earth as gods and goddesses that made them rulers on earth. For they followed the wayward ways of a wayward world. Everything that was on earth, that was of earth, was given for the children to command. The children commanded all these things. And when they lost the true sacred knowledge of who they are, and the sacred knowledge of the Son, and the sacred and divine rituals of the Son, the children were never able to overcome that which was done on earth by all those who went in the wayward ways that are of the evil ways. The rituals that we have given unto you are the rituals of the Son. And those who have been given to use it, let them bear testament to the many of the power that they received from the rituals that they had been given. For there is no other power on earth greater than the power of the Son. And all that which was done in the mystery of the rituals of the Son is all that which restores the powers of the Son back into the children of God. There is a reason why God showed man that there were rituals. Many frowned on the rituals that God had shown you. Many refused to engage in the ritual that you had said to them carries with it the power of God, because they were lost in an evil world that they could not understand. And because they themselves did not know that they were children of the Son, they did not know that what the Son would give to them is that which would enable them to return back to being the gods and goddesses that they were. In telling them to turn away from these ways, we had given you to instruct them that if they must reconnect with their gods from the Son, they must abandon these useless ways of man and earth. These are not the ways of a powerful and almighty God. And many of the children said, where is this God that is so powerful and almighty? Why has God allowed this to happen to us? And you must tell them, it is you who allowed it to happen to yourself, because your God had never forsaken you. The Son has never forsaken you. It shows you everywhere that you go, it is there. It is always there. It is you who have forsaken the Son. And when you have forsaken the Son of your God, you have forsaken your own God. And so the disconnect between the children and the Son God is as a consequence of the children not remembering where they came from, who they are, and what powers they had. The time has come that you must teach them the rituals of the Son and the stages in which they must learn them, so that in all the ways that we had promised them that they would overcome, they would overcome. And that is why we have said to you to tell them, your salvation lies within you, no one else. There is no one anywhere that can come from anywhere to restore you, the children of the Son, with that which is of your Son God. For all earth tribes are not of the Son. And everyone that said to you, this one died for you and that one died for you, that is not what God told you. For you came as eternal gods. And when you are eternal gods, you don't need to die nor anyone to die for you. And no one can die for anyone. So wake up. Wake up. Return back to the ways you were. Forget about all the things that man are doing or says the man attempts to do, because all these things will come to an end. God has told you so. God will put an end to it. And if you did not understand why God said God is the giver of all things, know ye now that God orchestrates every catastrophe in this world, every event in this world, every way man goes in this world, every result that comes to man in this world. No man can do anything without God. No man can do anything without the breath that goes into him. And so you should know these things. For man is facetious in all the ways he goes, believing he did this, he did that. He does nothing, for he is nothing. He becomes nothing. That is what he has shown. And if you can become nothing, you were nothing in the first place. So hearken to the things that God has given unto you. Seek to know yourself. Seek to know your God. Seek to understand the way in which you can again become gods and goddesses. In the course of time, I will give to you the several rituals of the sun that has not been known to mankind. That in following that which is given to you to do, you will find a way of enlightenment that allows you to rediscover who you are and the greatness that remains dormant within you all. As usual, my Mother God and my Father God sends forth blessings to you, gives you the blessed assurance that God's promise is still available to you, and that every way that you believe that which is given, so will your faith restore you in all things that God reactivates within you. Ashanamo osishi la harakati sifir kuntu pakanti kirah kuno sofarabeida. Hari perikota sakitan dukoto kumbaga isat kinti abrati diskoro tukumbaga ritisi. And God will allow many of you to receive the sacred tongues that speak with God to God from you, from your God to the God that created it, so that in all the ways you may be reestablished in the sacred language of the Spirit, so that you know to speak with God in the Spirit. And so be it. And so be it. And so be it.